Welcome back, everyone. Before we dive in, make sure you drop your thoughts and the lessons you took from this story in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get into it. The pain from the surgery was nothing compared to the pain that hit when I looked down from my hospital window and saw my husband holding hands with my sister, smiling like I never mattered. The incision across my abdomen was a neat line of fire held by cold metal staples. Manageable. But the other pain, the one that arrived when the morphine wore off and the world snapped into brutal focus, broke the scale. Before I saw them, I had been almost hopeful. The surgery went well. The tumor on my liver, the one that had kept me awake with icy dread, was out and benign. I was going to be all right. I lay against stiff pillows, watching the city lights spark to life at dusk, feeling grateful for my husband, Derek, who had been so attentive, and for my sister, Lauren, who had dropped everything in Oakland to fly out to help. I was already planning hydrangeas for the garden and a slow return to work. The nurses wanted me to walk, so I decided to stand. Every muscle protested when I swung my legs over the bed. I clung to the intravenous pole and inched to the floor-to-ceiling window overlooking the city. That is when I saw it. 37 floors below in the glass-walled medical center cafeteria, my husband leaned across a small white table and kissed my sister on the mouth. Not a peck. Not comfort in crisis. It was slow, familiar, practiced. A kiss that spoke of a history I knew nothing about. My hand, taped with the intravenous line, trembled. The staples pulled tight, a hot pinch. I pressed my forehead to the glass. 3 days earlier, as they prepped me for the operating room, Derek had squeezed my hand and whispered, "I will be here when you wake up, Sierra. I am not going anywhere." Lauren had flown in with magazines and a bright smile, promising to make soup and wash my hair. I had believed both of them. They broke the kiss, but their fingers stayed laced. Lauren tipped her head back and laughed, the same musical laugh that had charmed teachers when we were children, and, now that my mind was connecting old dots, the same laugh she used when accidentally walking off with my first boyfriend in high school. Back then she said she had not known I liked him that much. I had believed her then, too. A soft knock at my door snapped me from the window. "Ms. Roberts, time for your medication," Nurse Angela Parker said, moving with steady, practiced hands. She wrapped the blood pressure cuff around my arm. "Your husband and sister have been so devoted, switching shifts to sit with you," she said warmly. "You are lucky to have such support." I stared at a water stain on the ceiling and swallowed the laughter that clawed up my throat. "Beautiful," I managed, my voice thin. Angela chatted about the warm October weather and the hospital's rooftop garden. I nodded at the right times and felt my internal landscape split along a new fault. After she left, the room hummed with machine noise and quiet. Derek was not just my husband of 7 years, he was my business partner. We had built Roberts Marketing Solutions from folding tables in a spare bedroom to a company worth nearly $2 million. Lauren was not just my sister. She was supposed to be my closest friend, my maid of honor, the person who had cried when I put on my wedding dress. The betrayal felt total. My phone buzzed. A text from Derek, "Getting coffee with Lauren. Be back up soon. Love you." I took a screenshot without replying, lifted my phone, and zoomed the camera through the glass. The images were grainy, but unmistakable. Her head on his shoulder, her hand high on his thigh. Proof. I watched them for 2 hours like a detective on a stakeout. They were careless because why would they be careful? In their minds, I was upstairs, weak and grateful. He fed her a bite of muffin. He leaned in and said something that made her blush. When they eventually returned to my floor, they came in separately to keep up the act. Lauren arrived first, too cheerful. "How are you feeling?" she chirped, sitting in the squeaky visitor chair and taking the same hand that had just been holding my husband's. "Tired," I said, lowering my eyelids. "Where have you two been so long?" "Just stretching my legs," she said. "This place is so stuffy." Derek went to the lobby to make calls about the hotel account. Minutes later, Derek appeared with 2 coffees. Their fingers brushed in the exchange. Small, almost invisible, unless you were looking. "Hey, beautiful," he murmured, kissing my forehead. "You have some color today." "I feel a little better," I lied. "Dr. Carter says I might go home tomorrow." "That is fantastic," he said, settling into the chair, the picture of relief. "Lauren can stay another week or 2 to help." "If that is okay," Lauren added, eyes wide and innocent. "That would be wonderful," I said, forcing a grateful smile. They shared the quickest glance of relief. It would have slipped past me a week ago. Not now. That night, after they left, I called attorney Benjamin Cole, our longtime business lawyer. I need to discuss legal options, I said, voice barely above a whisper. I told him everything. He listened without interruption, pen scratching. You live in a community property state, he said carefully. Ordinarily, assets acquired during marriage, including your company, would be split evenly. However, if we can prove adultery and, more important, dissipation of assets, marital or business funds spent on the affair, we can argue for a more favorable division. We will need undeniable proof: photos, messages, emails, financial records. We should also be prepared to freeze major accounts to prevent manipulation. I stared at the city lights outside my window. I need evidence first, I said. And I need to move without them knowing. Then be careful, he said. You are in a chess match. Do not let them see the board. I went home the next day with printed discharge instructions and my betrayers hovering like helpful doves. The drive through our quiet neighborhood was suffocating. Our craftsman-style house looked exactly the same. It did not feel the same. It felt contaminated. They settled me on the living room sofa and performed their roles with smooth efficiency. I should check emails, I said weakly. Derek frowned in performative concern. You need rest. 10 minutes, I said. The moment they drifted away, Derek to his home office, Lauren upstairs to the guest room, I opened my laptop and built an evidence locker in an anonymous email account. I installed a discreet, professional-grade monitoring program Benjamin had once mentioned for corporate protection. It logged keystrokes, captured periodic screenshots, and archived messages. It would record any digital coordination of their affair on the household computer. While the software installed, I pulled a voice-activated recorder from my work bag, something I had bought months earlier for meeting notes, and tucked it behind a row of unread classics on the built-in shelves, pointed toward the sofa and armchairs. Over the next days, I became a ghost in my own home. I let Lauren bring me toast and tea. I pretended to nap while listening to the recorder's live feed in wireless earbuds hidden by my hair. I learned their rhythms. The spyware revealed they used a supposedly disappearing messaging app. The screenshots captured enough: fragments of longing, plans to meet, affirmations that what they had was too special to give up. It had been going on for over a year, beginning when I sent Derek to a Seattle conference. Lauren had coincidentally driven up from Oakland to see him. The recorder delivered the worst of it. One afternoon as they made lunch, Lauren whispered, "She seems suspicious. She keeps asking strange questions." Derek said, low and soothing, "You are being paranoid. She is on pain medication. She is not thinking about anything except her next dose." Then bluntly, they discussed timing. "After she recovers," he said. "A few weeks. We will sit her down together and be gentle." "What about the business?" "The house? Her inheritance?" Lauren asked. "We will figure it out," he said with brisk certainty. "Maybe she will buy me out. Or we sell and split. We will be fine." 3 nights later, they cleaned the kitchen, voices low. Derek said, "I was terrified we would have to confess everything if she—" He did not finish. "Me too," Lauren said. "I felt like a monster, but a small part of me wondered if it would be easier." Silence. Then Derek, "You cannot think like that." "I know," she whispered. "It crossed my mind for a second. Imagine if we could be together without destroying her first." They had considered my death as an elegant solution. Not wished for it, considered it. The chill that settled inside me never left. I built my plan in layers. First, the business. Our crown jewel was Morrison Hotels, a luxury chain on the verge of awarding us an $800,000 annual contract. On paper, Derek managed relationships. In reality, I built the campaign. He saw the contract. I saw the person. Director of Marketing Yolanda Pierce, a sharp, principled woman I had befriended at a leadership conference in Chicago. The next afternoon, while Derek and Lauren were hiking, the monitoring program showed Lauren had searched for romantic restaurants with private booths. I locked the office door and called Yolanda. I explained, professionally and without naming names, that due to irreparable personal differences, I intended to dissolve my business partnership, and that his current personal conduct was compromising our firm. "I am the architect of your campaign," I said. "If you prefer to move forward with me alone, I will understand. If you prefer to disengage completely, I will also understand." Yolanda was quiet for several beats. "This explains some things," she said finally. "Derek has seemed unfocused. Send me the complete proposal by end of day tomorrow. If it is as strong as I believe, we will proceed with you exclusively. Our legal department will handle the rest." One down. Over the week, I repeated the process with our other major clients. Results speak. 4 of our 5 largest accounts signed transition agreements to a new entity under my sole ownership upon filing for divorce. The 5th was Derek's fraternity friend. I assumed that loyalty would hold. 80% of revenue was already poised to follow me out the door. Second, reputation. Through the software, I saw they planned to attend a prominent children's hospital gala together, with Lauren listed as my substitute since I was too weak to attend. It was one of the city's most photographed events. I phoned the chair, Denise Grant, a woman I served with on charity committees. I told her the truth, gently, and apologized that her event was being used as cover for an affair. "Leave it to me," she said, voice edged with steel. At the gala, Denise stepped to the podium and, during her welcome, said brightly, "Let us recognize the devoted couples who do so much for our community, including the handsome Derek Roberts and his lovely guest, Lauren, attending while Derek's brave wife, Sierra, recovers at home." The ballroom stilled. Then the whispering began. I watched the high-definition live stream from my sofa with a cup of chamomile tea and a level heartbeat. Third, employment. Lauren worked as a senior designer for a prestigious, conservative Portland architectural firm whose public image was all family values and service. Their employee handbook, posted publicly, contained a sweeping morality clause. Lauren's supervisor, senior partner Cheryl Lawson, was known for no-nonsense integrity. I sent Ms. Lawson a tightly documented email with select evidence. Non-explicit but romantic messages, a weekday hotel booking in Lauren's name paid with our business card, and a timesheet match log showing dozens of personal calls and hundreds of messages during billable hours. I framed it as a pained courtesy from a concerned third party. Lauren's sobbing call to Derek the next afternoon, caught by the recorder, confirmed the outcome. She had been terminated immediately for gross misconduct and violation of her contract. They decided to sit me down that weekend. They had a script prepared about falling in love, about being mature. I had other plans. Friday, after receiving a final forensic summary from Derek's brother, Anthony, who is a private investigator and the person I had quietly consulted for the best equipment, I called Benjamin Cole. "File Monday morning," I said. "All of it." Saturday, while Derek was at the gym and Lauren was out for coffee, I staged my living room. My laptop sat open to a neatly organized folder labeled Evidence with subfolders for photos, messages, audio, and financials. The recorder was live. When they walked in laughing, their faces changed at once. I was not alone. My parents sat stiffly in wingback chairs. Anthony leaned against the mantel, arms crossed, thundercloud dark. Our mutual friends, Maya and Greg, perched on the love seat, uneasy and silent. "What is going on?" Derek asked, smile curdling. "Mom. Dad. Anthony. Please sit," I said pleasantly. "You both have something important to share." I thought it best to have family and friends present. Panic flickered across their faces, but they sat. "What announcement?" Lauren asked, voice thin. "The one you rehearsed all week," I said. "About your relationship. About your love." I turned the laptop so everyone could see. The first image filled the screen. A grainy photo of their kiss in the hospital cafeteria, time-stamped 3 days after my surgery. My mother gasped. Maya began to cry. Anthony's jaw tightened. This was taken while I was upstairs in pain, trusting my husband and my sister, I said, tone level. Lauren tried. "Let us explain." I raised a hand. "You have explained plenty. Here are your messages from the disappearing app. A tip: screenshots do not disappear." I walked them through it methodically. Photos. Messages. The recorder's transcripts of them dividing my life. The business, the house, my inheritance. The financial records highlighting dinners, jewelry, and hotel stays charged to the company. 1 year, 3 months, 12 days, I said, reading from my notes. That is how long this has been going on. Derek's voice cracked. We did not mean for this to happen. We tried to fight it. We fell in love. You decided your happiness mattered more than my well-being, I said. You decided daily lies were easier than one honest conversation. You decided to use my medical crisis as cover. I double-clicked an audio file labeled kitchen. Lauren's whisper filled the room. A part of me wondered if it would be easier. The room erupted. My father, gentle all his life, stood and shouted at Lauren, face flushed with disbelief and anger. Maya sobbed into Greg's shoulder. Anthony stared at his brother like he did not recognize him. I raised my voice just enough. Here is what happens now. Derek, You will find divorce papers at your office Monday. I am keeping the house. Attorney Cole has irrefutable documentation of your adultery and misuse of company funds. Legally, that is dissipation of assets, and it changes the division. As for the business, you cannot do that, he said weakly. I already have, I said. Most of our major clients have signed binding agreements to transition to my new firm. You have a brand. You do not have a company. I turned to my sister, who was sobbing. You are my sister, I said evenly. Now you are also unemployed. Ms. Lawson sends her regards. She stared, stricken. What did you do? I sent your supervisor a professional package documenting policy violations, including misconduct during billable hours. Your firm values integrity. So do I. You are destroying our lives, Derek said, finally angry. No, I said calmly. I am holding up a mirror. Your affair ruined your marriage. Your lies ruined our partnership. Your choices fractured our family. I am making sure the legal and professional systems see the truth. The gathering dissolved into chaos. My parents tried to comfort me and shouted at Lauren in the same breath. Anthony left last. Sierra, I am so sorry, he said quietly. If there is anything else, anything I can do. I looked at him, at the steady, honest worry in his eyes, and the final piece clicked into place. 2 weeks later, a manila envelope from Anthony arrived at Benjamin's office. Inside was a deeper forensic dive into finances and digital footprints. Derek had opened bank accounts in Oregon. Lauren had been apartment hunting in the Pearl District. Worst of all, they had filed for a new business license, West Coast Marketing, with a business plan that was a verbatim copy of a proprietary 5-year growth strategy one had written for Roberts Marketing Solutions. That was not simply adultery. That was theft of trade secrets. We filed civil action immediately and referred the matter for potential criminal investigation. The local business journal ran a feature, a story of betrayal, bankruptcy, and theft. Derek lost his last remaining client the day the filings became public. Facing legal fees and no income, he filed for personal bankruptcy in 6 months. Lauren, with a termination for cause and a pending civil suit attached to her name, could not get hired in her field. The design community is smaller than people think. Reputation is currency. She moved back in with our parents. The grand love affair that was supposedly worth blowing up my life collapsed under daylight, debt, and isolation. They broke up 8 months after exposure, each blaming the other. I rebuilt. Roberts Marketing Solutions was reborn as Rivers Creative. The Morrison Hotel's launch was a spectacular success and led to 3 more luxury hospitality clients within a year. My reputation for integrity and strategy actually grew stronger in the aftermath. People trust the person who tells the truth and delivers results. I sold the house on our tree-lined street. It held too many ghosts. I bought a modern condo downtown with a view of the skyline and a sunlit studio where I could work when I wanted. My new garden fit in terracotta pots on the balcony, basil, mint, a brave tomato vine. It was enough. It was mine. The scar healed. The rest took longer. The meticulous quest for justice proved more therapeutic than I expected. There is a deep, simple satisfaction in seeing systems, legal, professional, social, align with the facts. When people show you who they are, telling the truth about it is not cruelty. It is clarity. After a year, I started saying yes to coffee and dinner with kind, uncomplicated men who had no connection to my old life. Trust felt strange at first. It did not feel impossible. The last I heard, Derek was selling televisions at a big-box electronics store 2 states away. Lauren was taking online courses to become a veterinary technician, a quiet path where the past might follow less loudly. Neither found the happiness they imagined waiting on the other side of my ruin. Sometimes people ask if I regret the scale of my response. If I went too far, if I should have signed papers quietly and walked away. The answer is no. For more than a year, they made deliberate choices that required daily deception. They weighed my life on an operating table against the convenience of a future together and felt a flicker of relief. The consequences met the conduct. The story traveled through our community. People understood that I was not someone to lie to. Oddly, that made life easier. Partners were careful. Clients were transparent. Prospective dates understood that words must match actions. I learned I am stronger than I imagined. I can think clearly under pressure, separate feeling from action, and move decisively when my life is at stake. The woman who wheeled into surgery was trusting and perhaps naive. The woman who emerged is careful, exacting, and unwilling to be anyone's victim again. They believed I would accept their betrayal quietly, that I would be too polite or too broken to fight. They were wrong. That one miscalculation cost them everything they thought they would gain by discarding me. On a mild afternoon months later, I stood on my balcony with a cup of tea, the city warm and alive below, and trimmed a few basil leaves for dinner. The air was simple and clean. The silence did not ache anymore. It sounded like a life I chose. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and share this video with your friends. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a powerful story drop.